The Last Kiss is a 2006 independent comedy drama that I discovered when I was 18. And at the time, I was a huge fan of independent films and independent cinema because they were a big way that would allow me to discover films that I'd never heard of in the festival circuits, or films that starred actors and actresses that I knew at the time that I didn't know. Um, you know, it basically gave me a way to see other films of theirs other than the ones that made that they were really big on, like, Rachel Bilson, obviously, from the OC, who I've always loved the OC, and I've always loved her for obvious reasons. And yeah, I'd never known Zach Braff at the time, never known Casey Affleck at the time, didn't know Tom Wilkinson at the time. So you discover actors and actresses by, like, watching these films. And independent cinema for me, and still today, is some of the best to see just because of the passion projects that they are. And this was always a very in-depth look at relationships and style of filmmaking. This was a perfect independent film, in my opinion. It still is. It has its flaws today, revisiting it and everything. There's a lot I can say about this film that I love, actually, and then things that I don't like at all and I think are just silly and weird and oddly, odd, basically. But at the time, I absolutely loved it, and it still is today one of my favorite films. My sister actually ended up giving this to me, and she always knew that I loved it, and then she showed up with it one day, and she's like, there you go. And sentimental value for sure. But basically, The Last Kiss is about a guy named Michael. He's played by Zach Braff, and he's getting married to a girl named Jenna, who's played by Jacinda Barrett. And he's about to turn 30, and he's having his doubts, of course, and she's 3 months pregnant. And Michael has a friend who's getting married in the film, and during his wedding, he happens to come across this girl named Kim, and Kim is played by Rachel Bilson. And basically, Kim, in all means of the words, throws herself at Michael, basically approaching him, asking him what he's drinking, asking him for his number later on, taking him out to talk, privately and flirt and, have conversations and all that, which they do. I mean, it's innocent and everything, but it's not innocent in the fact that Michael is about to get married to this perfect girl named Jenna, who all his friends like and everything. But with temptation, obviously, he wants to be friends with Kim, but he doesn't at the same time because he knows exactly where it's going to lead. He's not blind to it. But he goes with it, and he ends up in the situation that he's falling for her and developing feelings for her, developing feelings for another woman, and it just continues to put him in the state of confusion. You also get Jenna's parents, played by Blythe Danner and Tom Wilkinson. They are also having their own turmoil in their own relationship, and you see their side of the story. They're not really connected in any way other than Blythe Danner's character's daughter's getting married to Michael. But they're having their set of issues, and Michael and Jenna are having their set of issues. And although they don't really come together, like they're having their own separate issues, they connect in ways, even though they're one generation apart, in more similar ways than you could imagine, especially being young. When I watched this at 18 for the first time, there's a lot of melodrama in this film, for one. And it is funny in a lot of circumstances that you see, but it's different watching it as a teen than when you're an actual adult. And it's very, very well acted. It's very real, and it's very real in the way that characters behave. The situations aren't, like, the decision making is not on point a lot of the times, but I guess you could say that is one of the parts that makes this film very human, is that not everybody is going to make the right decisions, but at the same time, as an audience, you're sitting there like, oh my god. Like, and it's funny, the thing, that's why with perspectives, as you watch films, after so many years or in different, you can take so many different views on films, if you know what I'm saying, depending on when you're watching them. It's not even just to do with the age thing. Maturity levels, things you learn in life, perspectives, idea changes, what I believed then, what I believe today. If, I would agree with myself, or, minds are always changing, stuff like that. So I really like, especially indie films for that. But as for the story, that's basically what's going on, and then obviously jealousy ensues with both these couples, the parents and Jenna and Michael. And yeah, it's a really great drama on how difficult relationships can be to maintain, and especially when they are intimate, because it is different when you're single and you don't choose to commit to somebody, because life is still going to be the same with all the circumstances going around and happening around you, and jobs and friends and everything. Like, there's actually a really great speech that I really want to get into at the end of the film by Tom Wilkinson. And I think it's one of the big reasons why I fell in love with this movie when I was 18, is just his speech. I loved it then. I love it now, and I think it's timeless. Like, it's not really a speech, it's just something he says to Michael's character, who's about to marry his daughter. But it's really, really, really impactful, I should say. There's a character named Izzy in it too, and Izzy is one of Michael's best friends. Izzy is going through a breakup, and he cannot take it at all, and it's cringy watching it now. It was funny watching it back then, but back then I couldn't say that I wasn't guilty of being the same a lot of the times. But now I'm watching it in this perspective of my life, and I'm just watching this guy simping so hard for this one girl that wants nothing to do with him, who's not even that, big of a deal, like attraction wise and personality wise, especially. Like, personality wise, especially. But this guy is so heartbroken and chasing her everywhere and just doing ridiculous, embarrassing things to to be with this girl, including being like, "I took her to your fucking prom," in the middle of the wedding. This outdoor, beautiful, like, lakeside wedding. Just it made me laugh. It's making me laugh now thinking about it. But he's funny because of the ridiculous shit that he does throughout the film. It's melodrama. They use melodrama in dramatic ways and also in comedic ways. And I say melodrama, to me, like, some parts of this film are cheesy, some are really impactful. This is where this film is mixed, and it's uneven. That's the biggest thing that I would say about it watching it today. It's not it's got parts that are just uneven throughout. That's basically what I got, but it's still so enjoyable. And although the third act is very dramatic, it's probably the best act of the film, I would say. Kim, played by Rachel Bilson, is beautiful, but do I need to say that? She's absolutely gorgeous. See, putting myself in that situation, do I stay with the girl who I've, committed to and is 3 months pregnant? Because walking out on this would be detrimental, a little rude, and, I could be literally making the biggest mistake of my life. But him going for Kim as well could be 3-6 months of great sex, maybe, and all honeymoon, fuzzy stuff, but could also be the biggest mistake of his life as well, because he would absolutely lose something that he committed to. So he's really in a situation where a lot of people end up. It's like, what do you want, kind of thing, when you can't have both. Like, ideally you want both, and I'm still trying to figure out a way in life where I can get both. But if you have to pick one, settle down and be boring, or live this carefree lifestyle where you can be with whoever you want to be with, I like the sounds of that one personally, but, it depends, where you are in life. But I can see everybody's perspectives. I love, again, her parents' relationship. I can't remember their names, but they're basically going through the same thing, because there's a scene in the film where the mother, I'm just going to say the mother and the father's Tom Wilkinson, the mother is Blythe Danner, or I'll just say Blythe Danner and Tom Wilkinson. Tom Wilkinson is a therapist, and Blythe Danner comes to this realization that she went to visit somebody that she used to have an affair with, and she sees that this guy is basically so happy with his wife, and he's so happy with life and everything, and she makes the decision to not go and mess that up, kind of thing. It's really getting dark in here, by the way. I'm gonna try and wrap up this review a little quicker just because of the lighting, but yeah, she basically decides to leave him alone and fuck off from that, and goes to the therapist's office, where she walks in and she's like, I just want to let you know I fucked another man, and then walks out. And she walks out on him, and she does this in front of a patient too, which is a bizarre comedic scene that they were trying to go for or something. But yeah, she walks out, and then she tries to leave, but they kind of rush through this, and I wish they paid a little bit more attention to it. But when she leaves her relationship in her home and goes to live, and stay in some hotel or whatever, I think she stays in a hotel because there's a scene where she's in a gym exercising at night, and it's like pouring rain, basically because she doesn't know what to do with herself, and she's trying to keep, she doesn't know how to live this life that she's lived for 30 years. And it's kind of like that, like you get tied up in things, kind of thing. I don't want to make that sound so downish, because it's not really a downer film. It's just a film about choices, really, and consequences of them, and what different people want. Like Chris's character, played by Casey Affleck, he's also in a relationship that he's absolutely hating because they have a baby together. He does not want to be a father because he is not ready. So why he had one in the first place? Maybe it was an accident. I don't know. They don't explain that. But this woman is basically caring for this baby by herself, and he's having like panic attacks and stuff every once in a while. Like having to, he just doesn't want to deal with this shit. And his wife is just hormonal as, I don't know if it's his wife or girlfriend, but this woman is just hormonal as crazy. There's one point in the film where he tries to have a civil conversation with her, and I swear in less than 5 minutes she starts screaming at him and shit, and then she just opens the door and she's like, just go, but don't ever expect to see me or your child ever again. And just like things that hit the heart, especially as an adult, hit the heart, like, oh my god, like what people say to each other. There's actually, I just thought of a random film. I'm always thinking of random films as I speak about others. A recent one that came out, Marriage Story, talking about harsh things that can be said to people you're supposed to love. It's gonna pour, by the way. I had to turn a light on. That was kind of pissing me off. But yeah, I was talking about Chris and, yeah, his girlfriend. Yeah, about Marriage Story. Randomly going on to another film. Talk about the things people say to each other, like when they're after committed relationships, and how something can go from something so beautiful, like what Michael could have had with Kim, maybe in some universe, but maybe not, who knows. Temptation comes sometimes temporarily, well, always temporarily, but it's the decisions you make. And actually getting into Tom Wilkinson's characters, Tom Wilkinson the father, when Michael, played by Zach Braff, is trying to win Jenna back because she found out about the whole Kim situation and what went on, I'm not going to spoil exactly what happens with everybody and what they do, but he confronts him like basically as like a father figure and a friend at the same time. It's really, really powerful and really neat. Like if more people could communicate like this, life would be a much better place. And he's just like, what the fuck were you thinking? He's like, you think Kim was the only one? Like you think that's only gonna happen once in your life? Like you're gonna be tempted. He says something along those lines, and then Michael asks him like, haven't you ever been tempted? And he's like, yeah, so many times. And he asks him if he's ever acted on it, and he looks, he has like a dead expression. He's like, never, not once. And then he says like, I've had many Kims walk into my life, walk past me, all flirty, flirty, and never flinched. And then he says this thing about love in his life. He's like, love, sorry, I said life. Love doesn't mean anything. Still doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. It's what you do to the people you say you love. That's what matters. It's the only thing that matters. I love that. You know, love doesn't mean anything. It's what you do to the people you say you love that counts. That's what counts. It's the only thing that matters. I think that's really beautiful. But I think that's a long enough review. I really recommend this film if you haven't seen it before. 2006 movie, so it's kind of in that decade, you could say, a bit. And it's a really, really perfect indie film if you like drama comedies. There's a lot of drama, there's a lot of comedy. It's really mixed. And great top-notch performances. And a lot of people that you will recognize today and are really driven to the characters that they're playing. You know, Casey Affleck, even, it's one of his earlier roles, but he's really driven to, you know, they're all driven to what they're trying to do, basically. But that's all I got. The Last Kiss, go check it out. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere or cheap somewhere. Other than that, subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. And I will be back with more soon as I can. So take care and cheers.